Hello, good evening. I am Mr. Yusuf Abubakar, Key Stage 3 Coordinator at Supreme Education Foundation. Yes, I welcome you to today's episode of Supreme Leverage. So, on behalf of the original host of this program, Mrs. Adeoyi, CEO, Supreme Education Foundation, I am glad to welcome you to today's episode. So, with us today is Mrs. Banire Takoro. Mrs. Banire Takoro is a
Hello.
business leadership coach, consultant, and trainer. She has over 12 years of experience working as a global mobility professional with several consulting firms like KPMG, Deloitte, and technology starts up, just to mention but a few. She has consulted for several multinational companies like ExxonMobil, like Unilever, British American Tobacco, Polaris Bank, to mention just a few as well. She holds a bachelor's degree of art in linguistics, specifically in French, and a master's degree in managerial psychology. She is also a life coach and a graduate of the Olusola Lanre Coaching Academy. Wow. On behalf of the original host of this program, Mrs. Adeoyi, CEO, Supreme Education Foundation, I am glad to welcome you to today's episode of Supreme Leverage.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for having me.
Right. Yes, so I will start on a lighter note. Please, can you share with us how come um, linguistic in French, master's degree in managerial psychology, and at the same time, life coach? Wow, all of this in one person. Please expatiate that to us and, of course, the audience.
Okay. Interestingly, it's you gain clarity as you go in life. And so
Okay.
basically at the start of my career, really truly I wanted to be a lawyer. So you write Jamba and then but my second choice was actually
Mm,
French. So when I couldn't get in for law, I decided to say since I actually failed my second choice as French, why don't I go in to study French? And so I ended up studying French and German for my first degree. And then, along the line, as I started to work, I realized that I had a passion for human behavior, for organizational development, leadership. So that was what informed now my active direction, into trying to move into managerial psychology. So there was the
interesting.
psychology part, and then there was the like management aspect of it. And then eventually in that trying to also as you also grow, you begin to understand, okay, what other tools do you need to be an effective person in the field that you want to study. So I realized that coaching was also very essential for what I'm trying to do. And so I picked life coaching, and now I'm evolving it into the upgrade leadership and executive
Fantastic.
coaching. So that's it.
Yeah, fantastic. So, what is congratulations in French? Because what a combination to have in one person.
Félicitations.
I can't hear that, and I'm not sure I'm going to learn that in 2 3 minutes. Maybe after this program. Yeah.
Maybe.
So basically, today we'll be discussing growth in difficult times. So that's the topic for today. And with that combination as a background, I think we cannot have a better person to do justice to this topic. So once again, I welcome you to today's program. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
first thing first, as we are taught, um, concept definition. So can you please take us through what growth means in relation to the profession of individuals? Growth, what it means in relation to human profession.
In relation to human profession. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So when we talk about growth, or when we think about growth, growth is a natural progression of life. Growth is what we expect that should happen in life. So take for example, the child is born. The parents and even the medical professionals, expect that by certain months, year in the lifespan of that child, the child should hit some milestones. When they don't hit those growth milestones, they begin to be worried to say what is going on, is there a problem. So first of all, growth is the natural progression of life. And for me, I don't even think there's an in-between. I don't really think there's an in-between. Is either you are growing or you are declining. There's some form of death going on. Now, I don't mean death as in physically dying, but there's some form of something is not working, something is not alive, something is not happening. So that's first of all growth when you look at it. Now, when you then look at, life generally, or when you come to maybe like professions, career professions and all that, growth is just saying that you are making progress, you are evolving. Where you were some months ago, where you were 1 year ago, is not the same place that you are. And this does not necessarily mean in terms of, say, promotions or something, but I'm sure that as we go along the line, we would have, as we go on in this session, we would have, more opportunities to expound on that, because growth is progressive. Growth is progressive, and people measure growth in different ways. But growth is a natural progression of life. If you're not growing, something is happening. Something else is happening.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Growth is a progression from point A to point B. It's like not being
Yeah.
static in life, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow. Yes. So, what exactly is the reason why should we experience growth in our career? Why is it even a point for discussion?
So, just as we started with the foundation that we laid,
Yes.
growth is what everybody expects. So, growing in your career means that you are progressing in life. It's something that you can see. It's Well, career is one of the different life facets, which we will still
Okay.
talk about, the different life facets. And so when you're looking at growth, you want to look at those different facets of your life to say, am I growing? Now, what is growth? Like we both agreed, is moving from point A to point B. So you want to look at it to say, am I growing or am I remaining in the same place? And people have different motivation for why they want to grow, depending on where they are. Maybe, if we look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, for example, depending on where they are, people want to grow because they want to increase their earning potential, they want to increase their earning capacity. Some people get to a point where, it's no longer about money, it's about achievement, it's about, being recognized. So you want to grow, you want to, move from the level that you are and be celebrated, be recognized, as you progress in your career. So like I said earlier on, it's just a natural progression of life. If you say that, it's not happening, even the society expects it. They look at you at a certain age, you're out of school, and you're like, okay, what's next? This is what we expect of you at the next level. And so it's the same thing. Like, we ourselves as individuals, we always expect to see that we are evolving, we are growing, because that is the very essence of life. We are adding ages, you're growing in leaps and bounds. You just want to say that you're growing even in your career.
All right. So taking the next step in your career. Thank you very much for that foundation. So with that, I think we can now move on. But specifically, if you look at it, and I would like to know, do the times and seasons determine growth? Do times and seasons determine growth?
So that's an interesting question. Um, in my opinion, I think that times and seasons in themselves, like the times and the seasons of life in themselves, do not determine growth. They provide different conditions for growth, but what we do with and in those times and seasons are the things that really determine, whether we grow or not. So for example, let's say that you are at a stage in life where, say, you are in school, maybe as an undergraduate, it's a stage where you're expected to go in at point A as an undergraduate, but finish at point B where you have grown, you have learned, you have, you have learned the basics, the foundation of, the career or the profession you're planning to go into in the future, and they expect that you graduate. So growth, the time and that season is provides that condition for you to grow, to move from being an high school graduate to being, a university graduate. But what you do with that time and that season, if you focus on what you're supposed to do at that time, that's really what determines if you actually grow or not. So I think it's what we do, our action with the times and the season, that determine it.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Branere. So now you talked about providing different conditions for growth. These conditions, should they necessarily be positive or negative? And I ask this because people might give reasons that, oh, Mr. A is progressing, is experiencing growth because the conditions are favorable, but my conditions are actually not favorable. That's why I'm not going. So that could be an excuse or escape route for individuals. So we would like to know if it is, must it necessarily be positive or even positive, even negative conditions? Can it also um, facilitate growth in one's
Facilitate growth.
career?
Okay. So, I actually like your choice of words. You said
All right.
because an individual might try to use it as an escape route, or, which means that, it means that whether positive or negative, every time and every season provides an opportunity and a condition for growth. So in negative seasons, I'm sorry to say, but as a third person, I actually have learned through negative times or difficult times, as you may put it. And I really now understand, I treasure difficult times, not because of
Hmm.
anything, but because it provides a certain momentum for you to grow. Do you understand? It provides a momentum for you to grow. So it is really how you frame that time and how you perceive that time that can allow you either grow or not grow. But whether the conditions of life are positive or whether the conditions of life are negative, they both provide an opportunity for growth, depending on, like I said, what you make of it and how you frame that situation or that condition that is going on.
All right. Thank you very much. And comments are already coming in from our viewers from Okozi Loretta. Good evening, everyone. Nice to be here. Interesting topic, an interesting guest as well. All right. Thank you very much. I actually like your choice of words as well, especially when you mentioned the phrase difficult times and that you treasure those moments. So, can you please expatiate on how your mindset can actually propel you even in difficult times?
Mm.
So, I want you to link the mindset now with the difficult
With
times.
it.
We know of the proverbial adage that a cup can either be half full or half
Of
empty,
offensive.
depending on
Yeah,
the way you look
you look
at
at
it.
it.
So, please expatiate on that mindset, please. Thank you.
Exactly. Okay, so when you're in a difficult, period, one of the, in fact, I would say that the most important thing that you need is your outlook on life,
Hmm.
the way you perceive life, because we view life through different lenses. And so how you perceive life, how you frame what is happening, is it can be pivotal to how you navigate that season and how you come out triumphant, at the end of that season, like a phoenix. So you can look at
Hmm.
life to say, oh, life is happening to me. It's um I, I'm always delayed. And you think about it, you've only had maybe like delay 3 times. Maybe when you were entering university or when you were looking for a job. And then you frame that to say, I'm always delayed. So once you have that kind of mindset, it is difficult because you exonerate yourself. you take the responsibility of changing that situation. You take the responsibility away from yourself, and you ascribe that responsibility to the conditions of life or to the situations of
Exactly.
life.
Yeah.
And in that equation, you are the most important person. You are the only one that can redesign or reinvent yourself. You are the only one that can change your mindset, change the way you're perceiving things so that you can, come out of that situation in a good way. So in a difficult time, your mindset, your outlook, how you see life is very important. So someone will say that, life is happening to me, but someone else can look at it to say, life is actually happening for me, you know.
Hmm.
So someone else can look at it to say, and count all the negative things, like all the things that you don't have. Like um, one of my coaches he says that it's not what you have, what you don't have, rather, it's not what you don't have that limits you. It's what you have, but you don't know how to use, or you don't even recognize it. But a lot of times, if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't reframe your thinking, if you don't reframe how you are perceiving that situation, if you don't reframe it, you find yourself um just giving out the excuses to all the other conditions, but not really taking up that ownership and that responsibility to say, I understand what is happening here. I can see the positives, I can see the areas of improvement, and I am going to take action and look for how to change this situation and redesign my life or redesign the conditions. So
Wow.
yeah.
Fabulous. Fantastic. Wow. A lot's coming out from you. I like when you mention personal responsibility, taking charge of the situation. And you also talked about it is not what you don't have that is limiting you. Rather, is lack of ability to manage what you have
Yeah.
that can actually limit you. Wow, that's a
Mhm.
new one for me. I'm sure for our viewers as well. Okay, we'll take note of that. Thank you very much. Now I can understand and appreciate the diversity in your qualifications, how it's coming to play. Wow, thank you very much, Ma. And I think I'm enjoying this. Next question. What are
I
the
am.
essentials now for sustained growth? The essentials for sustained
For
growth.
sustained
I'm
growth.
sure um, um, growth that is temporary is indeed not growth. For
Okay.
it to be growth, it has to be sustainable over a longer period
Period of
so that
time.
you not move 3 steps forward and 5 steps backward. So, what are the essentials, the foundation now to sustainable growth?
Okay, so I will talk about three essentials that I
Wow,
think,
that means there are
you
more
know,
than that.
yes, more than that, but I will talk about three, key things I should think about if you want to
Okay,
have sustained growth. And the first thing that I mentioned is, how do you perceive life? What's your
okay,
outlook? In terms of what's your mindset, what kind of mindset do you have? Do you have a closed mindset or an open mindset? Are you ready to learn? Are you ready to ask yourself prompting questions? The ones that don't shut your brain down, but that gets you into a creative process to start to think of, how to navigate life. So the first thing is, with what lens are you actually viewing life from? Having the right mindset. That's the first thing. The second thing is that at every point, you have to actively design your life, which is where a lot of people, miss it. Is one of the things that we don't do. So we tend to expect life to be on autopilot or to just flow. But what is important is you have to take time to design your life. And in terms of that, it means that you have to set goals. It means that you have to have a vision for your life, like visualize the future that you want, and then take time out to say, okay, how do I actually get here? How long is it going to take me to get here? What resources do I currently have? What do I need to look for? Think about it like that. So that's the second one in terms of designing. And then the third one, I'm not sure who said it now, whether it's Socrates or someone. He said that an unexamined life is not worth living. So you
Hmm.
have to always go back to assess and reassess. You have to examine. You have to sit with yourself. Like one of my mentors will say, and have a board meeting with yourself to say, okay, this was what I planned. This was my 5 year goal or my 5 year plan. How have I done so far? And you have to do that not even at the end of 5 years, but take time out, maybe every year, or sometimes some people do it every 6 months. Take time out to look at it to say, what was my target for this year, for example? My plan was to get a professional degree. My plan was to see if I can increase, what I currently earn by 20%. How am I doing in that regard? What do I need to do? Who do I need? So you need to, apart the second one we talked about was design your life. The third key I'm saying is that you need to always come back to reassess to say, how am I doing? Am I moving in the direction of my goals, in the direction of my dreams? And it's okay, like I always say, it's okay not to have full clarity, because that's one of the things that people expect. People expect that I need to, if I don't know it, and so you find them stop in the middle. But it's okay not to have full clarity. Start from where you are, but be consistent at doing these things. And maybe I'll say the fourth one. Let me just throw a bonus into it. I'll say your network. Somebody says your network is your net worth. Who are the kind of people you're surrounding yourself with? At every stage as well, you're looking at it to say, at this level that I'm going to, let's say you are thinking to move to a management position, say in another 18 months. You need to begin to think, who do I need to surround myself with? Who do I need? Do I need a coach? Do I need a mentor? Do I need to join a professional association in terms of, that network that can facilitate your growth as well? Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. You said three, but you actually gave four. And for me, the fourth one is not the least important. Wow. And interestingly, the four essentials that you gave, no one can actually do it for you. I
Yes.
realize that no one can change your mindset. So you are the one that can do that for yourself. No one can design your life better than you do as well. And no one can evaluate or examine you like you would do to
Like you would
yourself.
do. Yeah.
So self-critique is key,
It's
because
key.
if
Very key.
people should do it for you, they might over exaggerate or underestimate the
Yeah.
current situation. Yes, and lastly,
But
networking.
let
Yes,
me add that even though these are things that you have to do for yourself,
yes,
one of the things that a coach helps you do is to help you to
yes,
see, because sometimes you are so in that you are in your own life and you
true,
can't see what you are.
true.
So sometimes I sit with clients, for
Yes,
example, and I can
yes.
immediately pick their pattern of thinking that is destructive, or I can
Hmm.
immediately pick maybe like a limiting belief or a limiting mindset that we have to address before we even move forward to say, okay, we want to set goals or
Wow.
something like that. So,
Yes,
even though these are things that, eventually I give them assignments and they have to take responsibility for it, but I believe that sometimes if you have someone that is
yes,
invested, that is interested in your growth as well, they might be able
yes.
to help you see through those your blind spots that you're currently not,
Wow.
focused on or seeing clearly.
Yes, that's a fantastic dimension for me. And I want to believe your coach should also be part of your network. Who are you talking to?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes. So thank you very much, Mrs. Banere.
You're
We are
welcome.
enjoying the conversation, and very soon, my IT guys will take us through the comments. I'm sure they are chipping in already. So,
Okay.
are there any positives in difficult times? I know you've touched on this, just to elaborate. Are there any positives in difficult times?
In difficult times. So someone said that there's a natural order in
Hmm.
chaos. Like if you
Hmm.
actually look at chaos, that there's a natural order in chaos. Difficult times are like the times that if you have the right mindset and you're ready to reinvent yourself, difficult times are fabulous times. In fact, I have a book that is based on how to, navigate a difficult time or how to navigate a tough season. Because over the times in my life, and even as a spiritual person, like I realized that going through difficult seasons sometimes gives you the momentum to move into the next level, to immediately jump into the next level if you navigate that season well. So for me, it's just like looking at winter season to say, is there anything good about winter? There are always good things. There are always for difficult times generally. I like I said, I actually I think that difficult times are one of the times when it helps you to reevaluate. It helps you to go back and think that, okay, what is going on here? You're not just coasting. Life comes and it just shows you that there's a misalignment. That's what difficult times is about. It shows you that there's a misalignment. It's like just showing you that, Mr. Man or Mrs., you're riding against the tide. Like, can you, like step back and see what is happening? So once you're able to do that, and like we both talked about, if you have the right mindset and you take the time to go back to say, let me reevaluate what exactly is going on here. How do I build afresh? I tell you, there's so many positives in difficult times. Think about most of the people that you know right now. It's some of their difficult stories, the things that they've gone through in their difficult time that brought them into the spotlight. It's what they, what they use even in their career. It was what was the thing that gave them that springboard. Just the fact that they went through a difficult time and they came out and they can just now share their more experience. They can open the path for others and, save others from going through that experience as well. So difficult times, in whichever area of life, I believe has a lot of positives, only if we will look at it critically, and harness the positives out of it.
All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Banire. So, is it true in that light now to say that difficult times precedes or is a prelude to career growth? Is it a necessary step now to career growth from your
Actually,
explanation?
actually, I will say yes, because before you plant and before you then plant a seed and expect an harvest, there's something called plowing, and plowing is hard work. Plowing is when you're getting the soil ready. Plowing is when you're taking out all the debris in the sand, and then you're also looking at to say, the surface matter that is on the soil. You're mixing it with the soil so that it can be conducive. So before every growth is like, there's some sowing that you do, in order to reap and harvest. So let's even say that you want to become a chartered professional, for example. It means that you must have spent some time reading. You must have spent some time maybe denying yourself of maybe say Netflix, or denying yourself with hanging out with friends, just because you know that this has to be done. I need to invest this time, in order to pass these exams and then have this professional certification. So it's just what it is. So you can look at that as to say it's a difficult time, but like I said, and there are even times when you really are hit with a difficult situation in life, and in that period as well, it is the same. It's just you navigating that season.
All right. Thank you. We have a comment. I think this is a question from Ngozi Loretta. She's asking, okay, I think she's quoting you, life is happening to me or life is happening for me. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a question to that. What's your mindset at that point? So probably
Okay.
asking for clarification. Life is
Clarification.
happening to me or life is happening for me. So if you look at those, life is happening to me, what's the mindset? And life is happening for me, the two mindset. She
Okay.
is probably asking for clarification
Okay. So
between
for life
both.
is happening to me, it's a it's an helpless state. So it puts you in a disempowered state of mind. Like your mindset at that point is helplessness, disempowerment. So you find yourself complaining, narrating maybe the conditions or the things that are really happening to you at that time. But if you look at it to say, whatever situation is happening here, life is happening for me. Whatever is moving along here, it is happening for my good. It is happening for me. It is just for me to say, okay. So that puts you in a state of like you are empowered, because you're not looking at life as throwing its oranges at you and I'm helpless, everything is just happening to me. But if you look at it to say, life is happening, life is always happening for me. So what is happening for me here that I'm not saying? It puts you, in that state of empowerment, that state where, like I said, you trigger a certain kind of thinking. And so once you give yourself those kind of statements, those kind of thinking, you empower your subconscious mind to begin to find patterns and answers for you. Do you get? Because half of our, like 80% of our lives is powered by the subconscious. What we affect our subconscious mind. It's why sometimes you're sleeping, your subconscious mind is active and bringing back, things that has happened during the day. So if you trigger your subconscious mind to begin to help you look for, and your brain as well, to begin to help you look for answers, the creative, means of getting out of that situation in life. If you look at it to say, life is happening for me, this thing is happening for me, what am I missing, what am I not looking at, what do I need to adjust, what do I need to do, versus life is happening to me, that helpless mindset. I hope that
Fantastic.
clarifies.
Yes, well said. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yep. So, how is growth measured? How do we measure this growth? Is it something that is
How
measurable?
it's measured? Yes.
And if
So
yes, how is it measured?
So growth is something that we actually have to measure. Remember when we talked about the essentials of sustained growth?
True.
We talked about two of the keys. One being designing your life, taking time to set goals per time, to envision what you want your future to be, and to look at how you can achieve it. And then the second one is going back to reassess. Okay, so this was what I set for this year. How did I do, or how have I done so far? That thing. So when you were trying to measure growth, you measure growth by what you have planned for yourself. Now, the society, measures growth for us sometimes. So, sometimes they expect that at a particular age, for example, you should be married. At a particular age, sometimes men in their 40s, they're like, you should have your own house by now, those kind of things. So sometimes the society actually measures growth for you, or you're still in school at 30 and, like, I mean, undergraduates, and people are wondering, what's going on? So, and sometimes that puts pressure on people, because now you are measuring your growth by the societal standard, or the traditions around you, you know. But actually, growth is measured individually. You look at it to say, what did I plan for myself and how am I doing? And then you can also measure growth as a team. Say, for example, say at work, you guys have set a goal for yourself or a target for yourself, and then you come back to reassess to say, how are we doing in terms of this growth? Now, let me give you a random story, an example. So one time like that, I was expecting a particular promotion, and I didn't get that promotion, but like two of my other colleagues got it, and I really felt that I was deserving of that promotion, but I didn't get it. But I really found myself looking at other things that were going on in my life. At that point, I was combining work with a master's degree. At that point, I was combining a number of things in my life, and I looked at it to say, I'm actually, even though I didn't get this promotion, but I can see progression, I can see growth, I can see some of the things I set out to do that I am doing. And that really conditioned my mind in such a way that you know, I was able to go through that season without feeling like, left out. My colleagues have moved ahead. And I even remember at one point, it looked like I had to not report, but I really just acknowledge that one of them was now ahead of me. And when I needed the support, I would, reach out to him, oh, I need you to help me look at this, help me review this, but that really put me in a mindset where I wasn't self-condemning, I wasn't feeling helpless, because I could measure all the other things that I portioned for that period, and I could see that, okay, I was doing those other things, and I'm like, okay, even though this is a temporary setback, but I can still see growth in my life. And just really, it really just reset my brain and made me feel I didn't feel bad for too long, truly. Yeah. So just a story to buttress the point.
All right. And that was apt. Yes. So does gratitude play any role in growth? Does
Oh yes.
gratitude play any role in growth?
Yes. Yes. So gratitude is gratitude helps us to have the right mindset. Gratitude helps us to reframe our mind. It helps to put things in perspective. Remember when we talked about the essentials of sustained growth, and we talked about mindsets, having the right mindset being
True.
one of them. Gratitude is one of the ways for you to have the right mindset. So if, for example, you find yourself having maybe you're in a difficult situation and you find yourself constantly having negative thoughts, or being in a place where you are self-condemning, or being in a place where you feel that that self-belief has dwindled, or you're just having those thoughts, feeling like life happened to you, being able to just look for things per day that you are thankful for helps to reframe and to reset that mindset. Being able to be thankful to say, even though I've fallen, but I'm not totally on the floor, or even though I'm here, but I'm still alive. Just being able to look for things that you're thankful for helps to reframe your mindset and helps to put you in a better frame of mind. So yes, gratitude is very key for growth.
All right. Thank you. And more comments from our viewers. Thank you very much. Olabisi Osideko. Okay. She's saying difficult times give us the momentum to move forward. Exactly. Thank you very much. Please keep the messages coming in. Then Ngozi Loretta again. Difficult times are indeed fabulous times. Wow, that's for me is oxymoronic. Yes, how can difficult times be fabulous? Yes. So from Oyekombolaji, keep up the good work. Yes, thank you very much. Our guest is
Thank
doing a
you.
fantastic job so far. So you can see I'm not the only one seeing this. Yes, the same Oyekombolaji is saying in measuring growth, we must not compare ourselves to others. Fantastic. The only thing that we can use we can use them to motivate ourselves, but we should not compare
Absolutely.
ourselves to others. Would you like
Absolutely.
to expatiate more on that?
Okay, so a lot of times, like,
Yes,
people are used to measuring themselves against their peers, or to just look at, especially in these days of social media. So you go on
yes,
social media, you see perfect looking lives, and then you begin to self-condemn, or you begin to feel that you're not growing, or that you're not doing well in life. So comparing yourself with others, in fact, the scripture says that it's foolishness. That comparing, when you compare yourself with another person, that you're being foolish. So your path, your destination in life is different, your path is different. But what you can do is to use them, like she said, to say, use them as a motivation. So for example, you can look at it to say, oh, if this person can achieve this, then it means I can achieve it too. It's like when our famous Ngozi Okonjo, like Jiget, when she got that position, everybody, a lot of women were motivated, even people in maybe age group and all that. So you use those kind of things to motivate yourself to say, okay, I can do this. If someone has done it before, then why is it, it can be difficult. And you can even say, okay, let me see how I can reach out to this person and talk to this person and get ideas. But it shouldn't be for you to now self-condemn, to say, oh, this person is doing well, what is wrong with me? My life is finished. That's like I said, that's a disempowered mindset, and it's not the kind of mindset you want to have.
hmm. All right, yes, fabulous. And that's a good one. And that's a new dimension comparing ourselves with others. And indeed, one can look foolish at 30, still in the university, and a 22-year-old is already in his doing his PhD work. One can indeed look
Mm,
foolish. And it's also
yeah.
possible that while others are having cars at 19, 20, at 40, you're still looking for money to get your first
To
car.
get your car.
So I'm happy and I'm glad to be part of this discussion. Our journeys are actually different, and that we should strive hard to be the best version of ourselves and not of others.
Yes.
Of course, they can be a source
And
of
not what.
motivation, but our journeys are different. So that's a very good one from Onyekon. Yes, so good one from our viewers. I would like to ask this question: does one need to reinvent oneself to position for growth in difficult times? Do we need to reinvent ourselves to position ourselves for growth in difficult times? And I like this question because at times you cannot be doing the same thing and expect a different result. And in season A, you cannot perform 50%. That might give you success. Season B, it might require you to go beyond 60%.
Mm,
So I want to believe you understand where this question is coming from.
yes. So, Mr. Boubacar, reinvention
Yes.
is actually the cocoa of a difficult time.
Wow.
Because in a
I like
difficult
that word,
time,
Coco.
it is the meat of the meat.
Wow.
Because in a difficult time, you
Yes.
have to, if you have to unlearn and relearn, you have
Hmm.
to. You just have to. And let's, recently, so just last year and even early this year, we were really in the thick of COVID, lockdown, and
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
And you saw how businesses reinvented themselves. It was either reinvent or
Yes.
you die.
Hmm.
There was no option. And it's the
True.
same thing
True.
with life.
True.
Reinvent. Make up your mind to say, okay, I'm going to give it all it takes. What do I need to unlearn? What do I need to relearn? What values am I holding so close to my heart right now that is not working for me? Do you understand? So
Yes.
if you don't do that, it's either you do the other alternative is for your business, your career, is for you to stagnate. And once you stagnate, like I said, there's no middle ground, it's a decline. Do you get? A typical example is rough and tumble. Everybody knows rough and tumble in Nigeria.
True.
As at early 2020, first quarter 2020, rough and tumble was known to be into manufacturing of kids clothing. Very popular, luxurious clothing brand for children in Nigeria. But during COVID, their stores were closed. Nobody was
Hmm.
buying clothes. Their production sites, nothing was working. She had to pivot, like reinvent, to say, I have all these machines here, and people need COVID materials, such as like the mask,
Hmm.
the gears for medical guys and all that. She had to say, I already have like going back to assess to say, okay, what do I have? What do people need? How can I solve that? And she went into production of all those things. And I don't know what her financials you know
Hmm.
look like, but I can tell you that she hit it big even in 2020. Do you understand? So it takes you reinvent. It's not a matter of and a lot of times we are like, this is the way we do it, though. This is who I am, oh. There's nothing like this is who you are. Except you have made up your mind that okay, you are ready to stagnate and then go into a decline. But you have to, in a difficult time, reinvention is one of the things. It means reinventing yourself, reinventing who you are. Do you
Hmm.
understand? Take for example, for someone like me who was really in the thick of the mobility industry, like travel, immigration, relocation, as a profession. But fortunately, I started to think to say, okay, this is really what I want to do. As I progress in life, these are the things that really pull my heartstrings and all that. And then I started to, pivot into it to say, okay, I need to take the relevant trainings, even though I have some professional experience being a leader, being a manager, being a director. But what do I need, to show that, okay, I am now trained in the technicalities of this industry. So pivoting is the key, and doesn't mean that I've left my what I used to do. I have a whole company that focuses on that, also in the thick of COVID and all that. So pivoting or reinventing yourself is actually the cocoa for the meat of what you should do in a difficult time. And it starts with, what do I need to unlearn? What do I need to learn right now? What was working and is no longer working? Asking yourself those critical questions and being open to answer it, even though you feel without self-condemnation or without guilt tripping yourself.
All right, fantastic. What a good for me, I like your examples. They are so effective to what you are trying to explain. And I like the way you've reinvented yourself. But based on your advice, I'm not going to compare myself with you. And I hope you understand that.
Yes, please don't.
Yes. And because you are a coach and we are like, let me know if you were like, we are students. So we like you to break this concept down. So I would like you to expatiate on this, flesh it forward, because this is not the only forum we get to hear this concept, but we really don't know what they mean. We cannot apply it to practical way of life. And there are three actually: learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Learn.
So we want you to conceptualize it for us, please.
Okay. So let me think of a good example that I can use.
Okay.
So learn, unlearn, and relearn is a
For
okay.
me, they
Let's
look
look
the
at,
same.
say, you said
For me,
no.
they
They're,
look
they're
the
not. They're not.
same.
They're not the same. They're not the same, really. So let's look at,
Okay.
like in the workplace or career. Let's look
Okay.
at how you have been leading teams or how you've been communicating. In the
Hmm.
past, there used to be a lot of physical meetings, and so when you're communicating, people could look at your body language, they could hear your tone, and they could, if beyond the words that you're speaking, they could take an understanding from just those physical elements that they could see. But as things changed and people started to move into remote work, working
Hmm.
from home, um, using laptop technology,
Okay.
people needed to first learn to say, okay, what do I need to learn? Do I need to understand how Zoom works? Do I need to, those kind of things? The second thing is, in terms of, say, you are relearning something, it wasn't that you didn't know how to communicate before. It
Hmm.
wasn't that maybe you didn't know how to lead your team before. But
Yeah.
now everybody is spread across different states or different their houses, different location. So the way you communicate when you are with them physically, you have to relearn to say, now with the restriction or the yes, the hindrance or the restriction of not being able to see physically, what is the best way to achieve effective communication? So one of the things I always say to people is, for example, because people learn differently, always have maybe something that you're trying to show, that people can, even when they miss you or when they miss what you're saying, but they can remember that, okay, it's a team meeting, but you have a 3 point slide, that kind of thing. And they can remember, okay, these were the 3 points that we talked about, those
Hmm.
kinds of things. So in situation, I don't know
Okay.
if that example helps, but that's what I
No,
can
it
think of
is.
right now.
It is.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's what
it
I can
is.
think of right now. So you had to learn the technicalities of using, like the technology that you don't have to use and all that.
Yeah.
And then you have to
Yeah.
relearn to say, okay, yes, so I've been an expert communicator before, but now I have to do the communication has to be remote. How do I communicate and still ensure that it is effective, not
Hmm.
as I've always done it? What do I do
Yeah.
differently? How do I
Yes.
achieve the result I'm trying to achieve? irrespective of the restrictions that I'm encountering.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you very much. How time flies? It's almost 60 minutes.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Just like 15 minutes with you. Fabulous.
Wow.
Fantastic. Yes. Thank you very much. So I have some
Wow.
questions and I'm going to time you because I
Okay.
really need to cover more. Yes. So in 2 minutes now, how can one condition the soil to aid growth? How can one condition the soil to aid growth?
How can one condition the soil to aid growth? So I think one, like we said, being open-minded. Being open-minded allows you to, and being open-minded does not mean that you take everything hook, line, and sinker. Being open-minded just means that even if something is different from what you've always thought of what you've always known, or what you believe in, you have that, you are able to say, okay, let me assess, let me review, how does it work for me, does it not work for me. I think one is first being open-minded. The second thing, being conditioning the soil, is you know your I'm going to say your language here, because I'm a firm believer in words. What you say,
Ah,
how that
hmm,
guides your life, and also because
oh,
um the Bible says that our mouth is like that small rudder that navigates the ship of life. So in terms of conditioning yourself, so that's why you have people say you should have affirmations. In the coaching world, they say you should
hmm,
have affirmations. In the Christian world, they'll tell you to have confessions. So that's the other thing that you can do. You can use your words to condition the soil, which also means
wow,
that you can also use it to stop negative thoughts. So for
true.
example, you find yourself thinking negative thoughts, you can immediately use the words of your mouth to reset the thoughts, and realign the thoughts. And then
Wow.
conditioning the soil, the other thing that I can think of is, we talked about, is network, community. Where are you situated? Like, I was listening to something recently, and it talked about wealth, that wealth is just access and information. And when I heard that thing, I tried to do like a quick scan to say, okay, people that I know that I really feel like you know things are working for them in terms of money and all that. And I'm like, and it's true, because just the network, that community that they find themselves, they get information. So think about it now. If you belong to an investment group, for example, you get the right information. Oh, this thing is at discount. This stocks is what we should look into now. That kind of thing. So the third one that I would just say is maybe network and community. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, and this is coming from, there's a comment coming from Ololade, Ololade Akombi. Yes, and I'm sure you agree with that. Can we also say that humility is another key in difficult times?
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you
Yes,
very
I
much,
totally
Ma.
agree.
Ololade Akombi.
I
Completely
totally agree.
100% agree
Yeah.
with her too. I need to find you because I gave you 2 minutes and you used more than 5 minutes.
Are you
So,
sure? No.
and from Joy Obicha as well, great job, fantastic. Please say that again, fantastic, from her. So this is the last question and it's a double header, and I hope this time around you will indeed stick with your 2 minutes
I
because
will.
we really need to leave. Yes, who do I need around me to aid my growth? And I like you to also join that question with, what are the signs of slowing or declining progress? So after which we'll call it a day.
Okay. So who do I need to have? So we talked about it. You should have a coach or a mentor. Someone that just
Yes.
can guide you. You should have that. Um, the second thing, maybe I will also say that depending on the growth or what you're looking to achieve, build the right kind of network around yourself. That's another person that you need to have around yourself. Then you should always have your teachers part time. You should always have your teachers part time, and your teachers can be in books, your teachers can be online. You don't have to physically meet them, but you should always have, who are you learning from, part time. So I think that's what I will say. Then to say that, how do you, can you repeat that question? Decline growth?
Yes.
Okay. So what
Signs
are
of
the signs
declining growth.
of decline growth? Um, Signs of decline growth is first when you do your assessments and you can't see progress. Obviously, you know that decline growth. But there are a few things that I will say. I will say procrastination is actually, is actually a sign because it means that you are just stuck. You're not moving. Procrastination is a sign. The second thing that I will say that watch out for your thoughts. If you're constantly in a flux of negative thinking, that is as a man thinketh so easy. So that is a sign that there's something happening there and you might not be progressing in the direction you want to progress. Let me think about it again. Signs of decline growth. um I would not add, sometimes people measure by societal standard and people measure by, like you said, other
Yes.
people. I would not say that's a sign of decline growth. I think it's really just looking at how are you doing? What are the things that you've set for yourself? Are you hitting them? Are you meeting them? And then are you flexible? Like think about your rigidity. Do you find yourself like being rigid, arguing a lot, and all those kind of things? They can be signs that you're not being receptive to new information, and that can also be a sign of like
Yeah.
decline in growth. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And what a way to end today's program. There's a comment from Ngozi Loretta. Wow. And I'm going to round off with this. Thank you so much. The topic was well communicated. What a way to end this program.
Thank you.
Perhaps the only negative is that they are only thanking you. They are not thanking the host. You are
But
getting
I
all
think
of
one
this.
of us now.
Actually, no, 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 no. You are getting all of this. So yes, I'm a little bit jealous to that. Just by the
Yes,
side.
but
I'm
I'm the
just
star for
kidding.
today.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mrs. Baniren
Thank
Pakuru.
you
I hope
too.
I pronounced that well. God
Yeah.
bless you. Hopefully, we'll meet again. And for our viewers, please let's do this again next week, 5 p.m. on Friday, same time. On behalf of the original host, Mr. Adewiyi, CEO, Supreme Education Foundation, I wish you the best of weekend. See you next week. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.